Ben McKee, West Rucker here at Lindsey Nelson Stadium following Tennessee's 6-3 win over Queens, which is not located in New York, which I'm not afraid or ashamed to admit that I found that out yesterday. Queens located in the Queen City over in Charlotte, but they come over for the second to last midweek game. Slow start offensively for Tennessee tonight, but they eventually get going there of late. Dylan Dreiling hits the go-ahead homer. That proved to be the difference.
Yeah, it's a D1 team, and at the end of the day, D1 teams have guys who can play ball, right? I mean, they had a couple guys in that lineup tonight that, might be in the mix to get at bats for this team, this Tennessee team. I mean, that is what it is in D1 ball. And, Marcus Phillips struggled on the mound to start, didn't throw strikes, and that can kind of, just baseball's a weird sport where that can affect things going forward. But at the end of the day, you just got to win the game, and that's what Tennessee did. Even if Tennessee had lost, it wouldn't have been like the end of the world, but you don't want to lose two midweeks in a row. That's kind of annoying. So they did what they needed to do to get it.
Yeah, better than the alternative, which was the result of last week, and you want to avoid that, and Tennessee did that. So quiet night offensively. Christian Moore even talked about traveling back from an emotional series on the road, maybe a little sluggish because of that as well, but ultimately they got going when they needed to most. Dalton Bargo, Dylan Dreiling had the big hit, and he has proven to be cool, calm, and collected in those clutch moments this season. But Dalton Bargo, a guy who's been really trying to battle at the plate of late, pinch hits there to lead off the inning and smokes a single up the middle that kick-started things.
Yeah, and that's why, I've said all the time, midweek games are not just about the midweek games. They're about other things. You want to get guys going. You want to get guys reps. And that was a good opportunity for Dalton Bargo to get going. I mean, I was kind of surprised. I thought, again, I'm not Tony Vitello. He's won a hell of a lot more games than I have, but I thought tonight would have been a good night to catch Peebles and DH Bargo and try to get Bargo going. But they did it differently. They had Charlie Taylor catch. They had Peebles DH. But then that let Bargo come off the bench late, have a big hit to get a rally going. The other ball he hit was smoked. He just barely got under it, or that would have gone a long way. And he looked good behind the plate, too, late in the game. So that gives you another option, right? I mean, Tennessee's had years where it hardly had any catchers. Now it's got 3 or 4 that it could call on if it needed to. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, offense finally gets going. But the story tonight, unlike last week in the midweek loss to Lipscomb, the pitching staff was tremendous. Marcus Phillips, I'm sure, would like a redo. But after Phillips, the pitching staff really settled in. Dylan Lloyd comes in the first inning, bases loaded, only allows 1 run. One more run than what was already on the board for 2 in the inning for Queens, but that could have been a crooked number if he's not ready to go right away, and he was terrific over his 3.1 innings of work. Andrew Binky got back on track. J.J. Garcia looked good. Kirby had a couple of nice pitches, although I'm sure he would have liked to have finished his outing better. Aaron Combs had to kind of come in and save the day with the bases loaded. But outside of that first inning, a really nice night on the mound for Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world for Tennessee, Phillips would have started better, and then Phillips and Binky both could have gotten a little bit of good mojo going. But, you'd like to have one of those two guys, in the flow for the postseason, but you probably got to have at least one of them. And Binky coming out and doing what he did tonight was big. This is a guy the staff loves, and they were kind of wanting to get him going again, and he got going tonight. At some point, Lloyd, maybe he continues to work himself in the mix. And I tell you, I'm kind of surprised I'm saying it at this point because you waited so long for this kid to come on, but maybe Garcia starts to be a guy who at some point down the road gets a look in some of these situations because the stuff has been there. And, it happens for different times and different players. And he might be a guy who's starting to really kind of take the step forward and make you remember why everybody wanted him out of high school to begin with. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's not a perfect night on the mound, but a good one.
Absolutely. And ultimately, kind of like what we were talking about the offense, you got the job done because tonight was a good kind of catch you sleeping type of night for Tennessee, coming off of the Florida series, Vanderbilt this weekend, a lot of chatter about being ranked number 1. But you get the job done, and that sets up another intense rivalry series over on West End. Don't know that Vanderbilt has the potential punch that maybe a Florida or LSU has. Kind of we talked about, like you said, don't catch that hand grenade that weekend. Don't let it go off in your hand. I don't know that Vanderbilt has the punch that those two teams potentially have, but it's still Vanderbilt at the end of the day. It's in their building, and they do not like Tennessee.
No, they don't. And, it's – when you look at the talent of the different teams, like Tennessee's winning streak over Vanderbilt is one of those things that, that it seems like it's due to come back at some point, right? Like that series is too good. Both teams are too good. Vanderbilt, to beat them that many times in a row, I'm not going to say it's fluky because Tennessee's been great, but Vandy's always pretty good too. And this Vandy team might not have the upshot of some of the other Vandy teams. There's still a lot of guys. People were talking about that pitching staff like it was walking on water going into the season. Like, they've got arms, they've got prospects. And if you walk guys, if you let them kind of get going a little bit on the bases and give you problems, they'll give you problems there. And the last time Tennessee went there, it flat out embarrassed Vandy in its own park. And with the orange in the crowd and everything, like, those guys don't forget that. It's going to be a big one this weekend. They better buckle up.
Absolutely, and Wes and I will both be there this weekend at Hawkins Field to give you plenty of coverage of it all at GoVols247.com. We'll also have a lot of preview
Will
coverage.
the leaf blower come with us too?
Maybe, possibly. I don't know. I hope not. But we'll also have plenty of coverage throughout the rest of this week, previewing the series as well. We'll have a Thursday podcast, our Diamond Vols podcast. Jared Dickey is going to join us and break down some of the Vanderbilt pitchers that will be pitching this weekend and play significant roles in how the weekend plays out. Jared faced them last year, so he's going to join us on the pod along with Will Heflin to break that down. And of course, we'll have plenty of written content as well. So until Thursday and Friday when we speak again, he's Wes Rucker. I'm Ben McKee.